Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
Well, hello there and welcome. I was on a bit of a hiatus. I'm back in the saddle. It's Wednesday, the 18th of July, and Chris Potter is expected, but his seat is empty. Jess just went charging out of the studio to get him, so we'll have him with us in a minute unless something untoward has occurred, and it'll just be me. I hope that's not the case, because I, like I'm sure you, look forward to this conversation we have weekly with Chris Potter. Always a good time. Well, so much of what I want to talk about, I want to talk to him about, that I'm loath to start it up again and then have to reiterate. Did anybody notice with the coverage of Romney yesterday in the area? Apparently, he made a public appearance at some place with, the workers stuck behind him and in front of him, the regular sort of kind of photo op display. And
hi.
Well, that's a first. What happened?
I forgot it was Wednesday.
Oh, it's Wednesday. Here's Chris Potter. I was just saying, how did you see any of the coverage and or the still photos or whatever of Romney speaking at that, what a plant of some sort he was at?
Yeah, I did.
Did you notice the one lone African-American man in the upper right?
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
No, I'm afraid not.
Oh, I didn't. My heart goes out to him. My heart just goes out to him.
Yeah.
Because this is not I don't think this is you're an employee there. He went to speak at it, and they just grab you and tell you, okay, right. You sit here, you sit here, you sit here. So there's this black guy amidst a sea of white. And
they did the same thing to Condi Rice, I think. Just tossed her name out in the middle of a crowd of white people, yeah.
So this poor man is sitting right up there at the top on the right. I meant to rip his picture out so I could show anybody who missed it. But they, on the TV, they're, giving Romney's big, I guess the big soundbite from the speech, which is something about Obama essentially hating America and destroying jobs and all of that. And the crowd goes nuts. And this poor black man sitting up there is like, but how awful for him! And no matter what he does, he's in trouble. I mean, every black person who sees him is going to say, what the hell were you doing there? He didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
When I first saw him, I thought, oh, my God, what are you doing there? And then when he didn't applaud, I thought, you were stuck there. You had to. God. You would think the Romney camp, even wanting to appear to have, actually some African-American support, would still be aware that if you stick just, black people you pluck out of a desk somewhere and stick them there, that you might not get the desired effect if, in fact, they sit stonily while everybody else is wildly cheering.
Also, shouldn't you give them better seats? Like if he was like way up in the corner or whatever,
Well,
wouldn't you want the
very-
rainbow of diversity to be down there in the front?
maybe he sort of stood out in that he would stand out anywhere. He wasn't, he wasn't like everybody else.
Yeah.
God. So what a disgusting way we have of electing presidents. I mean, so he comes here, he makes this one phony crapola, it doesn't speak to any serious issues, with staged folks sitting uncomfortably behind him. And then he goes from there to some undisclosed location and pockets a bunch of cash. And then he goes from there to the Duquesne Club and pockets a bunch of cash.
Right. As if to testify to his understanding of average Americans.
Yeah, but I mean, I want to say that, the Obama...
Sure, they did the same thing.
We turn our politicians into bagmen.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, I agree.
And I saw somewhere that the average person who donates to a campaign it's less than 1%. It's like 0.26% of people who ever give money to a campaign. Only that teeny weeny percentage give more than $200.
But those people give a ton.
Well, but where's the money come from then? It comes from 0.26% of the population. It's their money.
Yeah.
It's the guys who forked over 50 thou yesterday so they could have dinner with Mitt Romney.
Worth every penny, I would imagine. I bet he's a fantastic after-dinner speaker. Sparkling witty.
God almighty. I don't know. Okay. You seem a little... you're quieter than usual. Is it because we plucked you on, because
I'm still trying to catch up.
You're still trying... It's like being awakened from a sound sleep.
I was doing some web stuff, and it sort of becomes kind of consuming, and then you kind of forget like what time it is and stuff, so...
Speaking of web stuff, listen to this.
Uh-oh.
A man walks into a bar.
Okay.
Walks up to a woman. And instead of shyly asking, "Hey, baby."
Can you say that shyly? Hey, baby. Hey, baby.
Hey, baby. What you doing? He already knows everything about her.
Dun dun.
He doesn't ask where she's from or where she went to school.
Wait, I know this. He's her father.
No.
Oh, no. Okay. I'm sorry.
He knows all that.
Okay. Because she's on Facebook?
Because he has an app for that. Now imagine that. He just sees a woman in a bar and he can get that information about her.
Face recognition?
It's called Girls Around Me.
I actually think that was a rap hit a few years ago.
All right, well, listen.
The Girls Around Me app. Okay. How's it work?
It uses publicly available data. For instance, Girls Around Me finds out what women recently checked into a bar on the social media site Foursquare.
Right.
So what it does is it takes, if a girl is stupid enough to look at a place, what would you be looking at Foursquare for? Finding out what the general age is or something?
No,
bar
like
Foursquare
is you go around and you say like, I'm at such and so location.
Yeah. What?
And then this is kind of stupid, but if you go to these places often enough, you get recognition within that community because you become the mayor of that place.
Dear God Almighty.
Sometimes, like businesses who use it, sometimes will provide rewards and incentives.
Oh yeah, they'll give you a drink for essentially letting any stalker in the universe know exactly where you are.
How does the person link up the person sitting next to him with all that online stuff? Like, how does he connect?
Because then from Foursquare, he looks at the woman's. He gets her name. He gets to her Facebook.
So you have to have her name.
I guess so. You get then to her Facebook profile.
Yeah, right.
Then he knows what she looks like. Then he goes into the bar. He's got all this information on her. If she's like me and doesn't have a good memory, he could go up to her and say, "Hey, hi, how you doing? Remember me? I met you at so-and-so's party." Right?
I met you at a party.
Well, no, but you looked at the Facebook page and maybe...
Right. Oh, I see, yeah.
Anyway, that app, by the way, is no longer available.
Because it was creeping
there
people out?
There was a hue and cry, and it was taken down. But there's all these others. Scene Tap. SCENE Tap. Uses facial detection software.
Right.
To monitor bars and determine the age and gender of those in the crowd. Jeez!
Squares. So is that like...
And Facebook put something out like this that they also have pulled. It was like Girls Around Me. It was called Find Friends Nearby. It was also pulled for privacy reasons. This is... What is going on with people? Why do they think they need this information? I think
we live in it's obvious that we live in an exhibitionist culture, and so people are happy to put stuff out about themselves. I think they generally don't think about the flip side of that. I mean, it's like, for example, I can't remember, there's a name for this phenomenon. You're in a crowded restaurant, and you will be sitting across from your significant other, and you will begin a discussion, this often happens, about information of purely private, personal, whatever. It could be about your finances, your sex life, whatever. You could be talking about this stuff in a crowded restaurant, and you just assume that no one around you is listening because who cares? And I think people sort of extrapolate that or do the same sort of thing online. They just sort of put it out there because they think the only people who are really paying attention are the people who are already sort of interested. And they don't necessarily realize the extent to which...
But how naive is that? So there's no expectation of privacy. Another generation, there will be no expectation.
Not only
absolutely
no expectation,
zero.
But not even the desire for it particularly. I mean, that's the interesting thing is, the fact that we would, again, it's like Orwell or whatever. Orwell thought, Big Brother would come and impose all of this from the top down, and in fact, people are sort of choosing it for themselves from the bottom up, which is unusual. It's an interesting thing too when you think about what you would hope is that apps like this make people recognize it. And then, of course, the thing that's been in the news recently about the sheer number of millions of requests for cell phone data information made of cell phone carriers by law enforcement at various levels. And then what becomes clear is that there's just a lot of times these police are just trolling. They're just doing they're just casting a net and seeing, who kind of gets caught up in it. So, you would think people would start to, think about, do I really need to bring my cell phone with me or whatever?
They become used to, they become inured. It becomes the new normal.
It does.
I mean, in 10 years, we won't even look when like strange little objects are flitting around outside in the airspace up here at the 21st floor.
It's already happening.
Yeah, it become
There was a mayfly up on my window a few weeks ago.
I'm talking about mayflies.
But I thought
with cameras and
what if it
is?
is?
Well, but that is. Yeah. That's what it exists already, and it's already being accepted. Is it the FCC that is like giving the clearance for these things?
I think it'd be the FAA. The
FAA. Okay.
Airplane people. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. The FAA, of course.
The FAA, as we call it.
As opposed to the fuck.
Yeah, right. Well, so, the other thing is, just speaking of this, then you think about, like, young children especially. On our street, for example.
I do.
But on our street, we were talking, we take our kid out for a stroller walk, and there's a handful of, 5 and 6 year olds on the street who always want to push him around in his little stroller or whatever. And so we'll let him do that, and I'll go out for a beer while they push him around the street or whatever. But we were asking these kids,
he winked at me when he said that, by the way.
We asked these kids, like, so do you all have cell phones or whatever? And what we were told is like, by like 3rd or 4th grade, a lot of kids not only have the cell phones, they have their own iPhones. They have smartphones at that age. And I was just like, you have got to be kidding me. There's not a chance in hell. There's not a chance in hell.
Okay, we'll revisit that. We will revisit it. Now, my son had a phone earlier than most kids, but that I totally thought was for my peace of mind because I was a single parent and I wanted to have,
Sure.
And as far as I know, we pretty much, he never abused it and anything. And it wasn't a smartphone.
Right. So that's what I'm saying.
It will
there
be.
Are kids, there are the kids that age. It will not happen. The most I could see doing at that age is there's those little phones. I can't remember what they're called. Crickets or something. They're little phones that they have two buttons, and it's like one's for the police and the other's for your
your mom.
Yeah.
Excuse me, or dad.
No, it'll be his mom. That'll be like, you know what? Work it out. I had to.
Exactly. This constant. Well, don't get me started.
Yeah.
Okay, so William Raspberry died. I don't suppose you were a big fan of his.
I can't really remember. I remember seeing his byline, but I was like, can I remember anything that he wrote?
Well, he was not fiery. He was very moderate in every way, so he annoyed everybody. But he did garner lots of awards and stuff like that. The reason I bring him up is he died at the age of what? He was 76. Here's the weird thing. Among his survivors, his mother.
Oh, my God.
His 106-year-old mother. It's not like she had him when she was 16.
Yeah.
She had him when she was 30.
Yeah, wow.
And she survives him. This is my mother's greatest fear.
Oh, that. Yeah.
It's her greatest fear. And you know what? It'll probably get realized because she's so unbelievably strong. I can see her living another 15 years. I'm not so sure about me. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's another bad thing about living too long. You end up burying your children who are old.
I mean, he had children of his own, their grandchildren, things like that. So that'll be right. So okay. Yeah. So there'll be some solace to it. It's not like. I mean, he was 76 years old. I'm sure that sort of mitigates
But jeez, it's out of what do you call that? Sync. Yeah. Is it sync?
Yeah.
It wouldn't be sync.
Order.
It's out of order. Okay, I want to show you a picture. I will show the audience the picture. I know this is not supposedly a television show, but there's this damn camera pointing.
And we'll try to describe it. It looks like 3 cardinals or something. They're wearing red with little sort of weird little, but they're weird little hats, aren't they?
Weird little hats.
They look like dog bowls upside down on their heads.
They got little dog bowls up. That's exactly what it looks like.
And then they've got little
bibs.
Little dickies. Yeah, bibs. Bibs. So you know they must be religious leaders, right?
Right. Looking closer, you see lace bibs. But then you look closer and you see one of them's a woman. All right. So there go the cardinals.
Okay. So it's not a cardinal.
Those are judges. Now, this is a picture from the Wall Street Journal, and it is a picture of members of Germany's constitutional court. And so what caught me was the outfits.
Yeah, once again, Germany's reputation for fashion sense is borne out here in this photo.
But here's what I thought.
Yeah.
Think of the way British judges look.
Yeah.
They look more absurd with these idiotic things on their heads.
Yes.
Have you ever seen? Think of what think of how even in this country, which doesn't get much into, costumery, our judges have to look different than we do.
Right, they wear
their
robes.
Black robes.
And then when you're impeaching a president, you have those Gilbert and Sullivan things.
Rehnquist had to have that, you put on,
Well, you want to give it a sense of occasion.
That's correct. But I find this interesting. So this, obviously, such an old thing that forever cultures all over the place must have had a way of showing that a judge was different.
Right.
And you don't let go of it, no matter how silly it looks. Now, this stuff looks increasingly absurd.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
But if you were to tell them, you don't have to wear those dog bowls on your heads with a lacy napkins wrapped around like you're going to, Red Lobster or something. You don't have to. But it would take this sense of authority away, would it not? I mean, by their ridiculousness, they end up with having authority. Why do we still make judges wear those black robes? They look sort of stupid, like they're, they're got lost from the Mormon Tabernacle Choir or something. I mean, what I want you to make an argument either for or against the continuation of, and if we looked up Spanish judges, they look silly. Look up Italian judges, they look silly. They all have silly costumes. And
Well-
I think they should be retained.
Oh, you think they should keep the silly costumes? Because
in our culture now, in this crazy culture where everything is breaking apart,
Right.
I love the anachronistic, even visual element
Right.
of it. And I think it packs a punch,
right.
which is probably what it was always supposed to do.
Well, I think it's also good too that the clothing that that is invested with authority is also kind of ludicrous. I think that adds a
But that's right.
right. So that it should be
didn't used to
both
be
authoritative and absurd at the same time.
Okay, well,
And then
that-
life can be like a Kafka novel, which I think it should be as much as possible.
But so if we were to disrobe the judges.
Oh, dear.
Yes.
We would be
And-
appalled.
And have them. Well, you know, Jon Stewart did that in that book he put out on
Yes,
American
the
history.
nude. He had the.
He has
had
the
this
whole Supreme Court naked.
nude, yes,
Oh, God, is that
right.
funny? But you see, if you disrobe them, you take away their power.
What percentage of judges do you think aren't wearing pants?
All right, okay.
No,
You
I mean, really, do you
obviously
think it's a-
not in any. No, you obviously do not want to be engaged in
No,
this
no, I think it's-
conversation. for
no,
which
I
you
think it's good.
apparently don't have some snappy retort on subject.
No, I think it's fine. You know,
Okay.
I'm for them. I'm for them wearing, because if it's just a guy in a business suit, then it's just some jerk in a business
That's
suit behind
right.
the table.
Right.
And we have quite enough of those determining our lives as it is. So.
Right, and even though it is a jerk in a business suit, if you put the paraphernalia
Yes,
on,
over above it. And isn't that the whole? And the whole point is when they put the robe on, they are
vested.
they are more than just some yahoo who's maybe not wearing pants. They become the officer of the state.
That's right. They are more than what
Yes.
a regular human.
Yes.
I think it's great.
Yeah, I'm for it, and I think that
Okay,
I
thank
think
you
it's
very
better if they're silly. I agree.
Okay.
I think it should just always be. In fact, maybe they could.
But
be
if you
silly.
ask me the silliest, and it's just that we're used to it because you see them a lot, the silliest are those absurd wigs that you have to wear in
Oh, yeah,
England.
sure. Oh, without a doubt.
Can you
Yeah.
imagine?
Yeah, no. By the way, I saw a guy walking in a Batman suit down Smithfield Street on my way in. I didn't know
Well,
I
I'm
was
not
going to mention
surprised
that.
about
I just,
that.
yeah. He looked hot. It was padded. There was padding.
Oh, I thought you meant he looked hot, like you found.
no,
him
he looked
sexually
he looked
attractive.
uncomfortable. Yeah, no.
Well, I would. And
I got some quirks, baby, but that ain't one of them. No,
Well,
he was all like
He will get increasingly more so. Anyway, so I saw the first Hot. That is, it's.
Oh, I see. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
I read my first review of the movie.
Yeah,
And
I
it
hear
was a little. This is Roger Ebert's review. 3 stars
Oh well.
out of 4. Finds it, I guess, needlessly dark.
Yeah.
And
Dark in the sense of it's hard to
Just-
see what's going on, or just
no,
dark in the sense
sense it's just grim.
Right.
Grim as hell. And he said you don't even see Batman much. You see his, what's his name? You see, huh? No, you see Christian Bale.
There was a thing.
You see Bruce Wayne more than Batman, and you don't see Batman a lot. And he really, and I'm not surprised. He said that Bane, the villain, it doesn't work because you cannot, because of that stupid costume of
Wait,
his.
the villain's name is Bane.
Bane. Yeah. Which is
I'm
why
starting
there's
to see
already,
why. Yeah.
Well, you're seeing that the
Yeah, the
Republicans
Republicans are
have-
already upset about it. Yes,
right.
yeah.
It's spelled differently.
Well, yeah, but still. You know, apparently, I just saw this somewhere. Apparently,
Yeah.
apparently, I don't know if people know this site, Rotten Tomatoes, which kind of aggregates reviews from other places. Apparently, they have had to, for the first time in their centuries-old history, Rotten Tomatoes has had to suspend comments on
because
on
the
that page
Republicans
because
are going
because
nuts?
apparently it's gotten bad reviews for the most part, and people and fans are going, even though they themselves have not seen the movie,
They're going nuts.
They're going absolutely bonkers and like making threatening remarks and stuff like that about this film reviewers. It's just like, time to get out of the basement, guys. I mean, like I hate to traffic in the stereotype or whatever, but you need to put the action figures down and sort of Walk out into the sunlight. I know it'll burn for a few minutes and it'll take some time for your pupils to adjust, but you need to go find something to do.
It's a movie.
And you haven't seen it yet. It might suck.
It's a movie.
Especially if there's not a lot of Batman in it, you know?
Yeah. Although they say they say the first half is slow, the second half is, people will like, there's a lot more, chases, action. That's all the crap they did here.
Oh, right. Yeah.
It's all the crap they did here. PNC, I mean, not PNC, Heinz blowing up.
What? So they think Pittsburgh isn't a suitable backdrop for emotional development?
They also say that, Pittsburgh does not get shown off.
Oh, dear.
There's none of those money shots of coming through the tunnels or anything. It's just looks like a
like any other city. Yeah,
well, which is what they wanted. Anyway.
I saw Luke Ravenstall on TV go into the thingamabobber.
The special premiere.
Yeah, he was I think he was dressed in an entirely all white suit.
You gotta be kidding.
No, I think so. My wife was just like, "What's going on?" Like I don't know. We don't have cable, so it was a little fuzzy.
Well, that's proper summer.
That's what I told her. I said it's before Labor Day.
Yeah. You know who else was dressed in an all-white suit? Jordan Miles at his
I saw that
in court the other day.
Yeah.
I don't think that was a good idea.
Why?
Well, because just like your wife said, what's going on? An all-white suit looks odd to people. It looks flashy or over. It looks like somebody who's a bit of a peacock because men aren't supposed to. And I'm thinking Jordan Miles needs to look, very vulnerable. And you don't look vulnerable in an all-white suit. What do you think? If I were his attorney, I would say, lose it.
I don't know. I think if you're coming to me for fashion advice, you're in a lot of trouble.
All right. Okay. I'm looking at every advance. I mean, you got a jury there.
Sure,
yeah. They aren't going to think he looks like a good humor man. They're going to think he looks,
Even good humor men don't dress like that. I drove a truck myself, and I could tell you I never wore.
What was the terrible song you had to listen to over and over again?
Send in the Clowns.
Oh, dear God Almighty.
And there was a funny thing there was a volume knob and a tempo knob. I could increase the tempo to
Send in the Clowns.
Yeah.
Oh my!
It was this dirge. I mean, it's like the least ice creamy tune you ever want to hear. And Send in the Clowns is what.
Where did I read the other day that there's again some damn app or something which locates the nearest ice cream truck and has them come directly to your house? Whatever. And I'm thinking, this is so disgusting. I can't even believe it. Part of the joy of the ice cream truck
is the pure arbitrariness of it. You never know when it's coming.
What they're doing.
The music seems to come from everywhere at once.
Jeez.
You sort of find yourself,
Okay, heads up. I said I would alert you to this, and I am, true to my word. Tonight on Turner Classic Movies, TCM, is that great movie that Andy Griffith made called A Face in the Crowd.
Right.
This is where, just a guitar strumming nobody with a gift of gab ends up coming
person like myself
frighteningly close to being a major, I don't know, I can't remember if it was political figure or just like a Rush Limbaugh type, whatever. But
so this is my story, essentially.
No, it's far from your story. It's a great movie, although it only has 3 stars here. But I think it's great.
Okay. And it's tonight at what time?
8 o'clock.
And
A Face in the Crowd.
Turner Classic Movies, which is on
followed by another one of his movies, No Time for Sergeants, which also people liked. But actually, A Face in the Crowd, I thought it's 1957. It's sort of a cautionary tale about the power of broadcast media to sway the mob, to get people. And if you find the right folksy, homespunny, straight-talking American, why, you can marshal and mobilize all kinds of people. And it's a great movie.
So, it sounds like Bob Roberts is kind of an update of that then.
Maybe was.
Because Tim, what's his name? Tim Robbins also is like a Rick Santorum type figure, but he plays the guitar in that too, if I recall correctly. It's been a few years since I've seen that movie. But
yeah, me too.
And he runs for senator of Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, right.
Yeah.
Somebody's telling us that Rush has...
Rush Limbaugh has already discovered...
Why won't it give me my...
Now,
look,
having just sort of made fun of comic book people, it's probably not a good idea for me to ask if anyone in the audience is aware. This Bane thing in the movie, was that like a character from the comic books previously?
Way back.
Like way before we knew Romney and Bane.
So this is a legitimate comic book villain.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean anything, because you could, just like you can go back into those Honolulu newspapers and retroactively insert a birth announcement, you could probably go back in time and put in a cartoon villain in a comic book
just
20 years ago, just to set yourself up for what's coming down the pike.
Okay, so Diane tells us Rush Limbaugh's already squawking about Bane as a conspiracy theory.
Huh. Well, there we go.
There we go.
We all know about how the liberals control the media. I didn't realize it extended to... Hey, and didn't Superman renounce his U.S. citizenship? I'm telling you, people, open your eyes! The funny thing is, I don't know, whatever.
I wish this president would learn how to be an American.
Yeah.
That is Romney's spokesperson, John Sununu.
Is he spokesperson, or is he just what do they call this?
A spokesperson.
Oh,
a
really?
campaign spokesman. Yes.
Yeah, he's more a surrogate.
Also, whatever.
Yeah.
I wish this president would learn how to be an American. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
They would never think of it.
He should look down on minority groups, shoot more guns, and watch more television.
And then listen. He goes on. Here's something. He's on Fox now, and listen to what he's saying. Listen to this.
Okay.
He has no idea how the American system functions, and we shouldn't be surprised about that, because he spent his early years in Hawaii. I didn't even get to the best part.
Keep going.
As if Hawaii is
right. Exactly right.
Okay, I'll give it.
You just lost 3 electoral votes, Mitt Romney.
He has no idea how the American system functions, and we shouldn't be surprised, because he spent his early years in Hawaii smoking something, spent the next set of years in Indonesia, and frankly, when he came to the U.S., he worked as a community organizer, which is a socialized structure, and then got into politics in Chicago. Well,
wait, he used the word socialized?
Yes. Okay, so here's what we've got. He did he's not an American. He got in smoking something, Indonesia, community organizer, socialized, Chicago.
Yeah, good job. Except socialized, what the hell does that mean? Like, your prom was a socialized structure.
I know.
The homecoming dance.
The Boy Scouts, we shouldn't talk about them today, is a socialized structure which excludes, of course, gay people.
Well, that's what Americans do. We exclude people.
Barack
Obama should learn how to do that better.
Yeah, indeed. And I should learn how to take breaks in a more timely fashion. We shall rectify that. No.
Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com or call Lynn at 412-316-3381. Lynn Cullen Live will return in a moment.
The end is near.
Voting ends Sunday in Pittsburgh City Paper's annual Best of Pittsburgh Readers Poll. Vote now and register to win a new iPad. Pittsburgh City Paper, available at over 1,700 locations throughout Western Pennsylvania, and on the web at pghcitypaper.com and on your smartphone at citypapermobile.com.
It takes 12 years to create a graduate. It takes about the same time to create a dropout. And at the end of the day, the difference between a child becoming one or the other could be you. So United Way is asking you to make a pledge. Tutor a child who needs help. Mentor a kid who needs someone on their side. Volunteer to read to children. Because when a child advances, we all advance. Be a reader, tutor, or mentor. Give, advocate, volunteer, live united. Take the pledge now at liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com.
Okay. Chris writes, hang on. Did you or Potter happen to see the cute, skinny blonde with Mayor Luke in his white suit at the premiere? Is this his new squeeze, or was she just someone in the crowd? Looked to me like she was the new girlfriend. Are you sure she was not on loan from Kim Jong-un?
Oh.
Have you heard?
Oh, what? I thought...
Kim Jong-un?
Yeah.
The new guy?
Yeah. We were talking about his...
He's got a babe.
Yeah, we were talking about her last time. She played for that, what was it, the Electric...
Oh, yeah.
Good music band or whatever they were.
Was that you I was talking to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I realize you have a couple of balding guests regularly on this show.
This is true.
But...
And...
I don't know, you know.
Well, see, so, the North Koreans are asking who's that woman, and we're asking who's that
girl?
woman.
Yeah.
Cute, skinny, blonde. Why not? Why wouldn't he have a date? He can have a date. He's divorced. Right? Isn't
Yeah,
he
as far as I
divorced?
know. Yeah, as far as I know, they were.
I mean, they are divorced,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
All right.
That's interesting. Now that I think about it, I don't really know what his marital status is.
Well, we know the marriage is kaput.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's
Yeah.
finalized, I don't know. But I think it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, reading the Wall Street Journal on the bus coming
Yeah.
in.
Oh, sure. Like everyone else on the bus. Yep.
Yeah, that is true. Nobody's reading a newspaper, I'll tell you that. And here on page 3 of today, a big spread on Slibberty.
Oh, yes. I haven't read that story, but I heard about
On
it.
Slibberty. On a neighborhood's comeback. Part of Pittsburgh finally recovers from 1950s planners. Okay.
That's... Well,
Yeah, right. Okay. But here's an interesting little thing in it. They have a map, and it encompasses, it encompasses the east end from Homewood, Point Breeze, Squirrel Hill, all the way down to the Allegheny River and Oakland.
Yeah.
And all those, and there's little red dots all on it. And the red dots, and they're all over. It looks like Pittsburgh has the measles, except for East Liberty and Oakland, Shadyside,
And Squirrel Hill,
and
Point
Point
Breeze.
Breeze. But everywhere else is a horrible outbreak of the measles or chickenpox. And what those red spots are is property parcels delinquent on taxes for at least 2 years.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what I just want to say. Okay, so you got most of Homewood, Lincoln, Leamington, Larimer, Garfield,
Yep.
North Oakland. What's
Well, that's
this?
more like the Hill District, parts of
That's
the
the
hill,
Hill?
and into, yeah.
Okay, so you're getting no tax revenue from that. This whole big place that looks like it's paying its taxes here in the middle is simply filled with tax-exempt properties. That's UPMC, all the hospitals, all the universities, the churches, right?
Well, I mean...
What?
Point Breeze, Squirrel Hill, Shadyside.
Those are the only... me, right there, Point Breeze. I'm the only
What, are
one
you
who's
that red
paying
dot?
taxes.
Oh, I see.
No, I'm
What do
not.
you mean you're the only one paying taxes? Most
Well,
of Point Breeze doesn't have any red dots in it.
That's what I'm saying. We're
Yeah.
all paying taxes.
Yeah, but you're not. You were saying that it was all because of nonprofits.
Okay, so only the
Okay.
people, Squirrel Hill and Point Breeze are paying their taxes on time.
Shadyside, too.
Nobody else is.
Shadyside too.
All right.
Island Park, most of it.
Well, so
you're
we're
looking at
carrying the whole.
Oh my
damn-
God, what is this? Like suddenly you've become Rush Limbaugh here. These are poor, depressed communities. You're looking at Homewood and Larimer and Lincoln, Leamington. Those are all depressed communities.
Well, you know what depresses me? Oakland.
Yeah, but that's
If they were kicking in their fair share, you could have a lower tax rate, which might even allow these poor people to be able to pay
yeah,
up.
but those are poor parts of. I mean, that's the map doesn't make it clear, but this
If
is
they're-
North Oakland bleeding into Shenley Farms and into the Hill
Wait a minute.
District.
But if
too.
you're delinquent in your tax, what jeopardy are you in?
I don't know, you could lose your house.
That's what I was thinking. So you live in with that kind of vulnerability.
Yeah.
Well, now I'm on your side. Isn't that
Okay.
disgusting?
Look on the bright side, though.
What?
There's no delinquency in St. Mary's Cemetery. All those people, they may be late, but they're current.
Are cemeteries tax exempt?
You know, I think they
They'd
are.
have to
I
be.
think they are
That's
when
too
they're.
big a
Yeah, actually, that's
real
really
estate.
interesting. I don't know the answer to that question.
That's a
Some
big
are
hunk of
church
real
owned.
estate.
Some are church owned, obviously. But like, what about like Allegheny Cemetery?
Yeah, what about it?
That's interesting. I don't know the answer to that question.
Okay, well, you'll have to look it
Yeah,
up.
I will.
Okay,
They're
so
owned by non-profits generally, so I would imagine they are.
how disgusting is it that, in fact, we mentioned them before, is that the Boy Scouts have emphatically and unanimously reaffirmed their policy that excludes gays from any affiliation. You cannot be a leader. You cannot be a scout. Now, you know there are scouts in there that are gay.
Sure. Yeah. Without question.
And leaders.
Yeah.
How can they be so insane?
Well, I mean, I think
Would you have Connor join the Boy Scouts?
Cormac.
Connor. I'm sorry, Cormac.
Yeah, let that
sorry.
Connor kid join. Who cares? Screw him.
Who's Connor?
I mean, I don't know. It's it's all those Irish names.
No, it's all these stupid names that people name their kids now, and you can't think of any of them.
My kid's
Whatever
name
happened
now?
to Bob?
That's it. I'm out of here.
That's it. Bob, Jim. So would you have Cormac join the Boy Scouts?
Probably not on that basis any more than I'd allow him to be raised Catholic, for that matter.
Well, I didn't. My kid did not join the Boy Scouts, and it was specifically because of that.
Oh, really?
I said, why do I want him as part of an organization that is engaged in that unbelievably ignorant kind of...
I might allow my kid to join the Girl Scouts, though, because they're actually very progressive on a lot of these
and
issues.
The Campfire Girls are, too.
When I was a kid, we did Indian guides. That was what we called it.
No,
they seem to be less politically
Margaret is asking,
engaged.
do the Boy Scouts allow lesbians? No. Lesbian. As a matter of fact, a woman who was a leader was thrown out. And she was a wonderful den mother, apparently. She had a 7-year-old kid because she's a lesbian.
Dear me.
Bang, out she goes. It's, you don't affiliate with people like that. I'm sorry, you just don't. I don't care how many wonderful, wonderful things they have done for many boys. Although, were you a Boy Scout?
No, as I said, I was an Indian guide.
Oh, you did?
We were the Mohicans, yeah.
Oh. My brother was for a little bit. I don't think, did he make Boy Scouts? I know he was a Cub Scout. And his den mother used to make the whole troop. All right, troop, today our activity is shoveling my driveway.
Really?
Yeah, it's like something Pee Wee Herman would do.
This will earn you your serfdom badge.
I remember my brother came home and complained bitterly. You know what Mrs. whatever her name was made us do?
Builds character. Now salt that path.
Isn't that funny?
That's pretty great.
Really?
That just takes cojones. Just get out there, kids. Troop 249.
Oh God.
Was that the only time, or was that like she
I don't know. That's the only thing I
Okay.
remember. I mean, that's the story he'll tell till you're blue in the face. He remembers her with great, anger to this day.
That's like the idea of the serfdom badge too. Just like what the little symbol would be. Just like some oppressed kid like carrying a bird on his back or whatever.
Oh God.
Oh, why? Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I guess the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts have just completely diverged on this because the Girl Scouts have really gone out of their way to be about
the Girl Scouts
empowerment
have always been a much more sort of progressive organization and have chosen, to diversify in every way.
And what you've seen is they're actually being punished for that. I think the Catholic Church, again, I think they have, there's been some, in some dioceses, there's been some, we're not going to be working with the Girl Scouts
because what
anymore.
did they do? Do they
something
a
about
sex ed badge or something?
Right. The birth control badge. So I guess if you're the Boy Scouts, you're probably also, I mean, I'm not saying they didn't choose this willingly because it seems like there's a certain zeal for this position on their part, but they're probably also external factors too that are weighing on them as well. I mean, I'm sure there are conservative groups and so on and so forth who would punish them most harshly if they if they yielded on this point. I'm not trying to make excuses because it seems
there's
like
no
pretty,
excuse.
Yeah,
there's no excuse,
and it seems like
made.
they're pretty enthusiastic about their position, but there's a whole nexus of stuff going on here. So.
Indeed. Can we get our break out of the way? We'll
Sure,
get our last break out and come back. I want to do a little Paterno talk, if you wouldn't mind.
Paterno talk. Yeah.
Paterno talk.
Actually, we have to call it Nittany talk now.
Oh, yes. They took the name Paternoville down from this little place where they used to camp out for tickets and are only calling it now Nittanyville.
Nittanyville.
They still don't get it.
Go to break. Don't do it.
Don't.
You're gonna start going. You're gonna start going into it, and then it'll be hard to go into break. So go into break now. And then
Now.
Stick around for more with Lynn Cullen live after this.
Go to bergbargains.com for great deals on tickets to the Science Center, the History Museum, Carnegie Museums, and some of the best restaurants in Pittsburgh. During the month of July, spend $50 on Berg Bargains merchandise and receive a $10 gift certificate to Buca di Beppo. Bergbargains.com. Local deals, local merchants. Bergbargains.com.
Gustavo and Vella wants to thank all of southwestern Pennsylvania, the USA, and the world for helping to liberate his native country of Equatorial Guinea. Equatorial Guinea has suffered 43 years of dictatorship, 43 years of human rights abuses, 43 years of corruption, and 43 years of kleptocracy. Even with $5 billion in oil revenue in 2011, the 700,000 citizens of Equatorial Guinea earn less than $2 per day. A proud Mount Lebanon resident, please help Gustavo and Vella usher in the 21st century by allowing freedom, democracy, and socioeconomic prosperity by the rule of law for the next 43 years and beyond. Email him at presidentandvella@yahoo.com to help free Equatorial Guinea.
Get Lynn Cullen live on your smartphone. Go to citypapermobile.com now for Pittsburgh City Paper's brand new mobile app. Get the latest restaurant reviews, event listings, movie times, and of course, Lynn Cullen live on your smartphone. citypapermobile.com.
Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen live at pghcitypaper.com.
All right. Boy, Paterno's lucky he's dead. And really, you gotta, if you loved the man, you gotta be happy that he's dead. Can you imagine if he were witnessing all of this? Yeah. So his alma mater, Brown University, has stripped everything referring to him off. They even called their head coaching position something, the Joe Paterno head, that's gone, everything's gone, Nike's taken his name off, blah, 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 blah. Yesterday, a plane was flying around Happy Valley with a banner that said, "Take the statue down or we will." Sounds like a threat. What was that, Al-Qaeda or something?
I don't know. I mean...
What?
It's a statue, people.
Okay. I thought Tony Norman said some great things, and I'm sure if Tony is now probably under a witness protection program.
Right.
Really? Right. Can you imagine the mail he's gotten?
Yeah.
He compares the love of Joe Paterno to, a personality cult, to nothing so any different than the cult of, of the great leader in North Korea or something like that. And he says it has always been customary for totalitarian states to honor a dear leader with bad art. And it is true, because that statue is so plug ugly. I mean, it is beyond belief. It doesn't even look like him, for one thing, and it's really awful. And he says, visit any hermetically sealed kingdom from North Korea to Happy Valley, and the first thing you notice is the aesthetic poverty of the art honoring their flawed leaders. It's a classic. It's true. Stalin, all of it. Anyway, he goes on to say that the controversy surrounding the statue and all of this stuff is an exercise in secular idolatry. Do you disagree with that? It's not a manifestation of everything that's wrong up there, everything that allowed this to happen, that Paterno had a kingdom. He did, that you didn't cross it. It's why the janitors who saw it were afraid to say anything because they would be killed. Well,
fired,
killed. I mean, I'm just, no. And I don't think Penn State does get it. I mean, the only way they're going to get it is to really You're not joining the crowd that wants
what?
Them to close down that program.
Oh, yeah. I just don't have any expectation whatsoever that it'll happen. So, I mean, I think we'd be better off as a society if we shut down
a lot of
college football,
yeah,
or at least revamped it so that the people who played and made the millions for these schools would actually be compensated, rather than having to sort of earn their serfdom badge by playing for these institutions, risking injury throughout.
That make millions and gazillions.
Right, risking injury throughout that would ruin their careers even before they got started. Assuming that this career got started at all, because of course most of those players, even in Division I, don't make the big time. So, I think clearly it's gotten entirely out of hand, just sort of on a broad societal level. I have to say, my brother-in-law and his wife attended Penn State, and we're very happy there and have been taking this whole thing kind of hard. I personally, it's just difficult for me to wrap my head around like the whole Penn State phenomenon. It's difficult for me. I mean, we've gone there. We went there, my wife and I went to see a football game, and I was sort of shocked by the number of seemingly otherwise respectable adults who every time there's a home game go back there. I mean, I enjoyed college.
Yeah, no, I don't get it either.
I graduated from it.
Yeah, right. You leave.
You leave, and then you go on and you move into another phase of your life. And I guess I don't understand this kind of bizarre, permanently extended post-adolescence. Like, I'm baffled by. Yeah. I'm not even angry by it. I'm just so completely puzzled by it.
But it happens for a lot of. I mean, you got the Panther boosters.
Yeah, that's true, but there's a degree. There's a degree at Penn State.
Penn State, so something odd is happening there.
Yeah. And it is bound up in football. I mean, there's no question that's the touchstone of the whole thing.
And I don't know. I've been sort of amazed at how some people really think that it is emblematic of something so screwed up.
Yeah.
That this is like a great teachable moment. And sorry if it's happening to Penn State, if you loved it, but you would think you'd want to be part of something better.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
But so it goes. I mean, what I find sort of interesting is there's all this talk, okay, should we shut down the program? It's like, but that wouldn't be fair to these young people in the program. I think it's nice that people are concerned about young people in Penn State now. It's a healthy development.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's kind of life, right? I mean, we're always suffering for the mistakes.
That's always how it works.
And this, anytime the NCAA hands out a thing, they're always it's always happening to the next class of kids because they can't retroactively go back. So Ohio State or any of these programs, it's usually subsequent recruiting classes who pay the price. Nominally, there's supposed to be some sort of accountability for those at the top, and it looks like there, at least in this particular case, a handful of top administrators are likely to suffer very serious consequences, and that school will be paying millions of dollars in legal fees and judgments.
All the more reason why they need the football program to keep making money for them.
That's the interesting thing, too, is a lot of Penn State's program is one of the very few in the country that actually brings in a ton of money. I think a lot of the football programs actually are kind of a wash, or if anything, end up costing.
So what do you make of people who have specifically donated to the football program since then? I mean, rewarding the very program.
But isn't that human nature, though? Like, you rally when something of yours is attacked, you rally behind it, whether it's right or it's wrong. That's what you do. Right. I hate to say it, but I don't want to single those folks out. I find it appalling, yes, but it's also completely consistent with human nature. You rally behind the thing at the very moment it's being attacked. There's always a certain number of extremists.
I just want to say to all the Penn State folks that if there is a Penn State season this year, as I guess there looks like there's going to be, when that team runs out onto the field and all of the hoo-ha starts up, everyone else in the country will be looking with revulsion, I think. Why would you want that? Why would you want that? Why wouldn't you want to do the extraordinary thing?
That because people aren't most people aren't like that. They had a cause, they believed in it. the fact that other people attack the cause for a certain percentage of people will make them glom onto it, even to seize on it even more strongly than before. It's just, I hate to say it, but that's just kind of human nature. There's a related phenomena is there was something in, I can't remember where I saw it, but there's a discussion of, well, what's the right way to handle, now that it's becoming increasingly obvious that there is actually a tie-in between global climate change and things like massive drought affecting like 2/3 of the country. One thing that people who've long believed we should do something about climate change should avoid doing is getting into a "see, I told you so" kind of mode, because that will only make the other side more defensive and even less likely to countenance change. Which irritate. I understand the justice on that on the one hand, but on the other hand, it irritates me because I really like being able to say "I told you so."
Yeah, right. I understand.
That's why I got into writing columns and stuff in the first place. So.
Oh, that human nature, I'll tell you.
Exactly.
Never let you down. Colette writes, I was told by a funeral home director that many small cemeteries in Westmoreland County were bought up by one guy, and he runs them as a very lucrative business. I can't imagine that being tax-free. Well, Colette, think of all the things you couldn't imagine being tax-free if you were writing the rules starting right now. I bet it is.
So he owns cemeteries. I don't know. I know that some of these places are nonprofits. I'm pretty sure that Allegheny Cemetery is a nonprofit.
I would be stunned if they pay, because look at that hunk of real estate.
Right.
They
worth $1 bazillion.
The taxes on it would be unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I can't imagine. Okay, so you have this, what do you call that?
An issue.
City paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out today on stands.
And I see that you're talking about, oh, don't you get sick of writing this story? Is it every summer it seems like this story comes back up again about how
what happens
if you yank the buses, what that really will do, how it's penny wise and pound foolish, how the impact will be felt by all you folks in your cars who think it has nothing to do with you, yada, 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 yada.
Right. So the story Lynn is referring to is just sort of an informational graphic about studies done by people who sort of look at traffic and look at the impact of transit on the broader community, what effect that would have on the sort of broader economic picture. You have to factor in things like time wasted sitting in traffic, wear and tear on your car, and the gas that the people who were riding the bus before will now have to pay, and all of that stuff, wear and tear on the roads and so on and so forth, not to mention the parking stresses it'll put on downtown and Oakland especially. And I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but to save about $65 million, which is what the Port Authority is trying to do, what you end up incurring on a broader societal level is more than $300 million in sort of ancillary costs and expenses that will now be borne by everybody else.
That's right.
So, when you kind of think about how we budget these things, the fact that we sort of consider the Port Authority in isolation, and we don't consider sort of the broader costs or whatever, I think it's sort of an interesting and
I must also say that I found myself sitting next to a rather high-powered elected leader recently.
On the bus?
No,
I didn't think
of course not on the bus.
Some used to. Frank Costello is a state rep from your neck of the woods.
Would ride the bus.
You used to see him on the bus all the time. Yeah.
Well, no, I see no elected figures on the bus.
Yeah.
No, this was at, of course, a dinner.
Okay.
And I was mentioning, he was saying how wonderful it was, all the development going on downtown, and I said, well, you haven't been standing on my block of Smithfield where everything's shutting down. I said, we lost, the restaurant, the Smithfield Cafe that's been there forever. Office depots pulling out. It looks really bleak on that side. I said, and I read an article somewhere that said one of the reasons nobody wants to buy up the properties on that side of Smithfield is because that's where the bus lane is, and all of those scruffy bus riders are congregated out there on the sidewalk in front of Burlington Coat Factory and in front of McDonald's and Saks Fifth Avenue. Oh, sorry, that's gone. All that whole side is just like gone. And he did not disagree with my assessment. He said, we're getting rid of the buses. I said, excuse me? I said, what do you mean you're getting rid of the buses? I ride the bus! And he said, no, we're going to keep them out of the downtown.
Right. They've been talking about that for years.
He said it with absolute certainty.
Yeah, they've been talking about doing that for years.
Okay.
They would just sort of serve the periphery, and then people would walk into the heart of town.
He said, you would get no further than Penn Station.
Right.
And that bus would then turn around. And I said, in the winter, people would have to walk. I mean, you look at who's on that bus.
Yeah.
There's old people on that bus. Yeah. There's people in wheelchairs. Yeah. Let them walk. Just so more people can drive in their car. So I know it's a compact downtown. Mm-hmm. Do you agree with not letting the buses in? It's going to happen. I could see. He said it's a done deal, essentially. Why don't we know about it?
I don't know that I'd say it's a done deal, certainly. I mean, people have been talking about doing that for years. I don't know. I mean, I go back and forth on an issue like this. On the one hand, I think it kind of sucks that the problem, I mean, the sort of premise of what you're saying is there's these bus riding people who are also, there's this rabble who we can't even afford to have in front of our stores or whatever because they're just such a disreputable bunch. I mean, you and I are among that crowd. So,
right.
So that bothers me. And the idea too, yes, of making older people and a lot of people
young people, little kids.
Yes, and many of whom people should remember. Yeah, who are taking the bus and doing connections and things like that to get to magnet programs and to get to schools on the other side of town. So yeah, I'm very much concerned about that. On the other hand, I mean, there is a part of me that kind of says, you look at that town, you look at what the buses themselves go through. I mean, I take the bus frequently, say from Oakland to downtown, and the last few blocks are just excruciating sometimes. I mean, I already get off, when you get into the heart of downtown, just because it's faster to walk the last 4 or 5 blocks.
Right.
So, I mean, I understand that. I understand the sort of need to keep sort of traffic flowing and things like that. And let's also face it, a lot of the buses are, they're not all of them are on the clean natural gas thing as well. And, if we can avoid sort of having a lot of buses idling, which is what a lot of them are doing in downtown Pittsburgh, that's not necessarily a bad thing for the health and well-being of the city. But yeah, I mean, it's a complicated issue. And what I generally resent is this sort of, we got to figure out a way to keep these embarrassments.
It's all about keeping these
embarrassments as much out of view as we possibly can.
No, read black people, poor people. Yeah. That's what. Yeah. Read that.
Yeah.
Ansel writes, I have a real problem with people who are falsely hiding behind their supposed concern for these children when all they really care about is tightening the noose on the Penn State faithful. They don't care about those kids. I've encountered many as Pitt fans, just care about driving a stake in the heart of each PSU alum and student, as if those alums and students were right there in the shower with Sandusky screwing that kid. There is a piling on thing here that is unnecessary. This scandal is bad enough without the piling on. I can see how you would feel that way. I'm sure. And I'm sure there's truth in that.
Yeah, I'm sure there is.
I don't care. I would have this if there's any Schadenfreude going on here. I would have it if it was Pitt. I would have it if it was Ohio State.
Yeah.
I would have it with any of these football obsessed schools. I would. I'd feel the same thing. But I really think Penn State doesn't get it.
Mm.
That's my sense.
Yeah.
And they're not willing to let go. And I don't know. So do you rewrite history by taking the statue down, by erasing him from murals?
That's the other thing, yeah.
Which is what, the Russians used to do. All of a sudden, who? Stalin? Who's that? His statues disappear. Right. He gets obliterated from murals. Well, sorry, he was the lifeblood of this place. So just taking statues down, it doesn't do a thing.
I know, but it's all about the context, right? I mean, what they did was...
You shouldn't be putting statues up to living people in the first place.
Count no man happy until he is dead.
Yes.
As the historian said, and apparently maybe not even after that a little bit. So, I don't know. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but on the other hand, the thing with the mural, he had a halo over his head, right? I mean, clearly the halo had to come down. And the statue too. Nobody is going to process that statue as this is a memorial to this sad thing that happened. People aren't going to, I mean, taking that statue down, I don't think is an attempt to rewrite history. I mean, I understand your concern, but I don't know if it's an attempt to rewrite history so much as an attempt to be sensitive to history.
Stick a tablecloth over it.
There you go. Yeah. They're good. As I heard somebody say, they're good at covering stuff up at Penn State.
There you go.
So, yeah.
Denise writes, shouldn't the cars be kept out of the main streets downtown and open the streets up for the buses? See, now, hello? Does she not get that right?
Yeah, right, yeah.
Make the cars stop at the periphery, which is what they do in London, for instance.
Yes.
And let public transit on the streets.
Well, they have the commuter charge or whatever they call that. The
exactly.
Charge, yeah.
Where you pay through the nose to get into the center. Denise, thank you very much for reestablishing
very well said,
sanity
on this program.
That is correct. Thank you. And thank you.
Well, now I've done my hour, even though I started.
I know. I kept you a little bit late so that you could put in all your time. Otherwise, you think I'm paying you for this?
Yes. We're not even paying you, really.
Yes. Volunteerism. Exactly. We are one of the 1,000 points of light.
As was Jerry Sandusky, I believe, actually. So.
No, he had ulterior motives.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying he was. I think George.
Oh, really?
I think he was officially one of George H.W. Bush's 1,000 points of light.
Isn't it interesting how he's becoming like the avuncular? Everybody loves him so much they can't see straight. Does seem like a nice man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, really seems like a nice guy.
Terrible campaign though. I mean, Lee Atwater and all that stuff.
I know. But seems like a sweet soul given to crying at the drop of a hat. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. You still.
I don't care. Screw that guy.
No.
He was bad enough in his day, and he only looks good now in the rearview mirror because his son was so much worse and so much of the party that, you know. Willie Horton. I mean that was his campaign. Willie Horton. He signed off on that crap. So.
Okay. So never forgive.
Never forgive, never forget.
Never forgive, never forget. Hate till the day you die.
Is their side looking at Jimmy Carter and thinking, you know, not such a bad guy?
Because they are unforgiving. Oh, God, I don't know. I mean, that's it.
Have a good day, folks. We'll be back tomorrow with Tom Sokolowski.
Yes! Who was in the scene column. Yes, he was.
Really, I missed that. Terrific.
Yes, he was. Looked very good.
Shameless attention whore. Yes.
God. Bye.
Bye.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.